Introduction to 70-526 and Windows Development. Alright, hello and welcome everyone. Really what I want to do here with this introductory video is take a step back and give you the big picture. A lot of people when they jump into programming, the first thing they want to do is just learn how to program, right? Learn the tools, the technologies, get some skills that you need in order to build an application. And that's great. That is an excellent way to learn. But what I want to do not only is that, but also take a step back and give you the big picture. And really, there's many different ways to go about building software, but of course the best way to build anything is with a map, right? With directions. And even though you're not going to have specific directions building your applications, we can at least have a blueprint sort of to follow through the process of software developing, and it'll make our lives easier. So I want to do that, get you familiar with Windows development in that respect, and we're also going to take a big look here at the 70-526 exam pack and how it relates to this specific video series. So let's jump into our outline here and talk a little bit more about what we're going to discuss and learn about in this video. We'll start off with an overview of Windows development. Again, I want to get you familiar with just that, the big picture of building software, what it's all about, kind of where the beginning starts, where there's an end, and kind of what happens in the middle. And I'm going to take you through just a brief overview of the Microsoft Solutions Framework, which is a framework that Microsoft put out, which is kind of that, kind of a map to follow through the software development process. And more importantly, I'm going to show you how this specific video series fits into that, because this really is all about learning those skills and learning the technology and the programming language to build applications. I'll also give you kind of a brief overview of the tools that we'll be using here, and then we'll jump down here and talk about the 70-526 exam pack and what it entails and what Microsoft expects from us, and of course the knowledge that they expect us to have in order to pass the exam. And we'll also take a look at how that relates to this specific video series. And all the videos within this video series has something to do inside of that exam. So I'll show you exactly how they relate. And at the end here, I want to take you through the sample application demo. We built a sample application that goes along with this video series, and it really is there to reinforce the concepts of this series, give you some real-world examples of how to use, again, the tools and technologies we're going to learn about to build an application. So I just want to give you a brief demo of how that looks. And then later, at the end of this video series, the last couple of videos will focus on how this application was architected and also, again, how it relates to the exam pack. So let's start off here with an overview of Windows development. And I want to, again, give you the big picture of the software development process. And Microsoft created a framework here called the msft, the Microsoft Solutions Framework. And this was put in place to help guide developers through the software development process. And it's really nice. And we actually tackle a lot of these phases in the design video, which is the 70-528 video. But this specific exam pack focuses mainly on this phase right here, developing. Because again, this is where you're going to learn the tools, the technologies, and the skills needed to build an application. This is where, for all intents and purposes, the bricklaying of the application is done. Also, we're going to touch a little bit on deploying, the physical side of deploying an application. This is where most of the work for developers sit in, is developing and deploying. As far as the actual building of the application is concerned. These other three phases, envisioning here is where a lot of your architects and managers and high-level people are going to start. And you can see this is where the process starts. And by the way, this is called an iterative software model. And what that basically means is it never ends. It continues on and on. So, this would be, at the very start of version 1, we would go all the way through this to where we deployed it, right? And then version 2 would start. So it keeps going through the versions of the application. The ending line for an application would then be, of course, when it's retired and completely done. So, back to this here, envisioning, again, where your high-level people will actually gather the requirements that are going to be necessary to of course, make the application successful. And this is an important phase because everybody needs to understand everybody, right? Everybody needs to be on the same page with the application, or the outcome isn't going to be exactly what everyone's expecting. So that's what this phase is all about, the architects and everybody gathering that information, making sense of it. And then the planning phase, developers may get involved in, because this is where we're going to start, mainly architects are going to start developing what are called logical and physical models. We're going to start developing everything that makes up the application on paper. And also gathering the resources, the team members, putting teams together, kind of gathering the resources and the skill sets required to develop the application, right? Because depending on the application, there might be different requirements as far as the technology is concerned, so on and so forth. So these two phases mainly are the design phase. The developing phase then is, again, where we sit, where this entire exam pack sits. It's really going to focus on the programmer or in the team of programmers developing the application.